Well, IoT devices come in many different shapes and forms. We have everything from toys to medical devices and industrial controls. For consumer products, what we're seeing is that these products are typically rushed to market very quickly, and they want to be cheap for consumers to buy. And unfortunately, cybersecurity is not thought of at the beginning of the development of these products. It's usually thought about afterwards. And that's unfortunate because what we find is that cybersecurity should really be thought of as an enabler and a necessity in the build process and not a tax. We found that some of these lower cost IoT devices like cameras and monitoring devices were easily compromised because cybersecurity was not thought of at the beginning. However, in some of the more industrial cybersecurity devices and IoT devices, security has been well thought of, and there are ways to do things like change the default password, do firmware upgrades, and be able to improve the security as threats are evolved over time. Hopefully that'll be the case in the future with consumer devices because companies are finding now that the cost to fix those devices after the fact is actually much more expensive than doing it beforehand. Consumers really need to look at what they're buying and any type of certification that that product has. If it's connected to the internet, it's subject to a threat and a vulnerability. And so you don't want to be a subject to that vulnerability by owning that device. So if it's something simple like a baby monitor or a camera or a refrigerator, you have to think about, well, manufacturers think about what that device can do. What you also have to think about is what that device could do if it was used in the wrong way. And so consumers typically don't think about that. They shouldn't have to think about that. But unfortunately, with devices that propagate around the consumer marketplace, they really need to stop and think, is this something I really need? Is this something that's really safe and secure? Is this a manufacturer I can trust? Is this someone that's going to be here for the long term, or is it a company I've never heard of? These are all things that should be taken into account before you connect the device to the internet.